if anyone is watching this and you are a caretaker, if you are a widow, I just hold you tight. I know what those late nights, the caring for your loved one, seeing your children go through it, trying to protect them but be honest with them. And then to have to tell your children the worst news. Just know you are not alone.
Let's take a quick moment to thank the people that support and sponsor the podcast. When life takes an unexpected turn, you deserve someone who will stand beside you. St. Louis attorney Chris Dully offers experienced one-on-one legal defense. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com. That's DULLE lawfirm.com for a free consultation. This is a space for stories that matter. Stories of resilience, reinvention, heartbreak, healing, and the quiet courage it takes to keep going. I'm Danielle Elliott-Smith, and this is Hope Comes to Visit. And as always, friends, I'm so glad you're here. Today's conversation is deeply honest, deeply tender, and one that I think so many people are going to feel right here in their hearts. I'm joined by Brittany Wiederin, wife, mother, advocate, and founder of Handle Heart Better Foundation. After the devastating loss of her husband, Cory, Brittany found herself navigating not only unimaginable grief, but the complicated reality of rebuilding a life that no longer looks the way she thought it would. What makes Brittany's voice so powerful is that she has chosen to grieve openly, honestly, completely unmasked. Through sharing her heartbreak, her healing, her motherhood journey, and the very real challenges of learning how to carry grief while still choosing hope, Brittany has created space for others to feel less alone in their hardest moments. This conversation is about loss, yes, but it's also about authenticity, resilience, faith, identity, and what happens when we stop pretending we're okay and allow ourselves to feel fully seen. Brittany, I'm so truly grateful to you for spending time with me today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Danielle.
I know this conversation is not going to be an easy one, but I'm so grateful for your willingness to be vulnerable and honest and grieve openly and share what this process is like for you and your family.
Yeah. I think that is what I have found to be like the biggest help in my therapy, in my grieving, in my processing, is talking about it. I recently heard that there's 100% chance that everyone passes, that everyone dies at some point. Yes. And grief is a hard thing to talk about. It can be a hard thing to talk about. But we're all going to go through it at some point in our life. So why keep it so quiet, right? Like let's help each other, because this is our hardest time in our life. So let's talk about it. Let's get it out there.
You are experiencing something that I experienced about 3 years ago. I lost my significant other, and what I learned in that season was very similar to what you're experiencing now. Is this is the one thing that every single one of us is going to experience. Not everyone's going to get married. Not everyone's going to have kids. Not everyone is going to have a job they love or, fall in love per se, but we're all going to lose someone we love desperately. And yet it is the thing we talk about the least and feel so ill-equipped to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so heavy. Right? It's so heavy. So why should we do something that is so heavy all on our own? So yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this and to talk about Cory. Like, it's my mission for anyone that didn't know Cory to now know Cory.
That was going to be my next question. Tell me, as much as you'd like to about Cory.
Just the best. He, and I think the other thing, and I don't know how you feel about this too, Danielle, is it's a is and not a was. Like, he is still very intentional. He still loves us. It's not he was intentional. He loved us. It's still very much like he's with us, right? And so, yeah, there's times where I do talk about like Cory is very intentional. The kindest heart. We described him honest love. Like, the amount of love that he has for his family is incredible, but he would also call us out too, right? But it was because he loves us so incredibly much. And for me, as like, there's just so much, right?
Right.
I call him my king and I am his queen. And then for the boys, he focused on family and loves his family so fiercely that he would do anything for the boys. He was the coach. He was my grounder, right? He was my anchor in my life when I needed to be grounded. Cory's always there to like help to ground me, and just a genuine person and humble, just very humble.
How did you and Cory meet?
We met at an Iowa State tailgate in the student lot, Danielle. I almost sometimes say it's worse than meeting in a bar, because you're at a college football game, student lot tailgate, and we're just having a great time. It was a mutual friend that we met at the tailgate, and it was my freshman year of college, and he had graduated from Iowa State already. And so I had told him, hey, like, I just, friends only, all the things. And so we became best friends my first semester, freshman year. And we would tailgate together. We would hang out, talk all the time. And then it was about second semester, early on, I was like, you know what? I think I can start dating you. And the rest is history. 4 years later, 3 years later, we were engaged. 2 years later, married. And then 2 years after that, had our first son. So yeah, it was Iowa State football is always special to us because of that.
Well, you are a sports family.
We are.
I'm from a sports family, and it was one of the things that drew me to you when I was first watching some of your videos online.
Yeah.
And I know that your boys play baseball.
Yeah.
I have one that played baseball and one that played softball. And so that sports connection within the family was something that really drew me to your story as well. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Cory as a coach.
Cory as a coach, it went back to that honest love, right? He knew how to make just the tiniest tweaks to help the boys in whatever activity they were doing, whether it be football, wrestling, baseball, whatever they may be doing. Cory was always there to provide that guidance, but then just that simple encouragement from a sports aspect, right? So he was like the best coach from a sports aspect, but the best life coach, right? Mm-hmm. He's always just so good at reminding us of like what truly matters. And at the end of the day, he took time to slow down and reminded us like, hey, that's little stuff, right? Like, just focus on who you are, what you want to do, and just stay determined. And then the whole handle hard better phrase came during a wrestling match of Beckett's. He was at a state Pee-wee tournament, and he got to the finals match and he was done. And Cory had just told him, Beckett, sometimes you have to dig deep and handle hard better. And then, a month later, Cory was diagnosed. So, but he was just such a good coach for the boys from an athletic standpoint, but just a life coach too.
What was Cory's diagnosis and what was that process like for, I imagine that came out of nowhere and was an incredible surprise. You and Cory both very young.
Yeah, completely out of nowhere. Cory, extremely healthy, medical provider, nurse anesthesia actually was his profession. And the weekend before, him and the boys actually went down to Tulsa for NCAA wrestling. And, you know, I always say it's because sometimes like God's plan, it was like their last normal weekend and it was the three of them. And that following weekend, he called me into the bathroom and he had just peed blood actually. And he's like, this isn't good. And I said, okay. And I was always, if Cory's calm, then I'm calm, right? When it comes to medical stuff, but he didn't have a sense of calm. So then I was like, okay, this isn't good. Long story short, found out that he had kidney cancer 2 days later on March 20th of 24. And it just rocked us. And yeah, Cory's very healthy individual. And we had just experienced great loss of my mom. She had just passed away from lung cancer 2 years prior to that.
Oh, Brittany,
and our boys were actually with us when we found out. And so we were very cautious to use the word cancer because they had just lost grandma to cancer. And we were on our way down to Kansas City for a wrestling championship that year. And so we had just said, hey, let's go down, let's enjoy ourselves. When we get back to town, we'll kind of figure things out. And then he had surgery. He had a nephrectomy, so removal of the kidney in April. And then pathology came back as one thing, which was kind of rare. So Des Moines had sent us up to Mayo. Mayo pathology said it's not that, it's something even more rare. So he had, it's called SDHB renal cell carcinoma, very rare form of kidney cancer.
Oh my goodness, Brittany, I'm so How old were the boys at the time of diagnosis?
11 and 7.
So one of the things I noticed was that you guys set about a plan of Cory playing catch with the boys every single day. What did that look like and where did that come from?
So that came from, I think Cory read a book about someone playing catch every single day. And he knew with the diagnosis that his timeline was cut short, right? And so, like Cory does, he makes the best of any situation. He's very intentional. And so he's like, hey, boys, let's just start playing catch. So on March 25th of 2025 was day one of playing catch. And it was just a time to slow down, to connect. You know, the boys and Cory would always say it's just a ball, a glove, and playing catch with each other. And there's laughter, there's joking around, there's sarcasm, right? All the things. And the boys loved it. They never complained about it. And then I would say about this time frame, actually, last year, things started to, I'm going to say spiral. And so, but he still played catch, even on the days when he felt like just the crummiest. He always made sure to play catch. And sometimes it was in our living room, right? Sometimes it was Daddy was sitting on the couch and the boys would make their little triangle and they would play catch. But Cory always made sure that someone played catch with the boys for a year.
It's amazing to me that you, Cory, had the forethought to create this series of fundamental memories and connection for your boys in the midst of what was very clearly a challenging and heartbreaking time for both of you.
Yeah. I think a lot of that was I had just lost my mom. And I was a grown adult who had just lost her mom. And I knew there were things that I wish I had, or I wish I talked about with my mom.
Right.
And I was bound and determined that if this was going to take Cory's life, we are going to make the best of it. We were going to do the things, we were going to figure out the bucket list, and we're going to do it. And we were just going to be intentional. And so sometimes, you kind of have to tweak, you have to look at the bright side, right? You have to try to find that silver lining. And that because of Cory's cancer diagnosis, we had the opportunity to be very intentional on our time, right? We knew time was going to be cut short. And so we got to do the things, we got to do the videos, all of those things that we are just holding on to right now.
With the rarity of his diagnosis, were you aware, or was there a period of time where you had the thoughts that there could be a longer fight in this?
You talk about intuition, right?
Right.
We both had that intuition feeling of this isn't good.
Okay.
And the hard part is trying to be optimistic, but realistic, right? Like, and because of my mom, I knew I was extremely hopeful and optimistic. And that fall to rock bottom was so steep and it was so far. And so I learned that if we just stayed like neutral, we were real with the reality. We had some hope, right? We had the best medical team, enormous amount of prayers and village. At the end of the day, though, we knew what this cancer could do. They didn't know how to treat it, right? So we were real with it. And so we just stayed neutral. You still hit rock bottom. I've still hit rock bottom. I think I'm still at rock bottom. But that fall wasn't nearly like, it sounds weird. It's steep, it's hard, but when you kind of go into it knowing what the reality might be, it's not as a shock, maybe. I don't know. It's still shock. I don't know, Danielle. Hopefully you get it.
There isn't anything off or odd or different that you can say, right? Because I think grief is such an individualized journey, and there is no wrong in it. There's no wrong. It just is, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like I get chills because grief is so all consuming, and some days it is bearable and some days it is not. Mm-mm. How are you doing? I'd hold your hand if I could.
I know. It's been a harder week this week. I'm not going to lie.
That's okay. Please don't. I don't want you to feel like you have to pretend with me.
This is like part of that living unmasked, right? Of just, here we go. We're letting it out. Right. It's just been a harder week. And then you have the boys. Right. And you try to ride their waves. When they come home from school and say that their friend is sad that their dad has to go on a work trip. And then 2 days later, that friend is saying, "Oh, I'm so excited for my dad to be home tonight." Our littlest told me in the shower, he goes, "My dad never gets to come back." And so you have like anger, right? You're so sad for them. And even like our youngest Beckett, he'll say that it's always at night. And, we always, as a mom, we have our most energy at night, right? And so he jumped out of he came out of the shower and he's like, Mom, I'm just so sad. I know.
Do you feel like you can share, like the way that you have unmasked grief?
Mm,
Do you feel like you can be honest with them too?
yeah.
Because I think as moms, we try so hard to protect them from all of it.
Yeah.
But there is value in you being honest and vulnerable with them too, right?
Yes, there's so much, and I think that's helped us. We've always had a pretty open communication. But I'm a big feelings person, so even before Cory was diagnosed, I would always say, we got to get the feelings out. Got to get the feelings out.
Mm-hmm.
And then during Cory's diagnosis, I always made sure with the boys that there was no question off the table. Like, I wanted to make sure that they could ask any and every question that was on their mind. And so I am currently in our Lego room, which was a very therapeutic place for the boys. And so Kellen would be working on a Lego and he would say, Hey, Mom, I have a hard question. And I said, okay. And, he would ask all the hard questions, Danielle. And I answered them the best I could. He would ask questions of, how much time do you think Dad has left? What's his funeral going to be like? Like all of those questions that no 12-year-old or 11-year-old should have to ask. But yes, because of that, I feel like they know that crying is okay. But like Beckett, he doesn't cry. He's not a crier. And he's acknowledged that and was kind of like nervous about it. And I said, it's okay. Like you can still be sad and not cry.
Right.
Right.
Again,
and so
no right way or no wrong way.
No right or no wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one who is a crier and one who is not.
Okay.
And they're both, as they've grown, they're now almost 22 and almost 20. They've grown into their emotions differently. Right. But at those ages, one cried, one did not. And I think that as a mother, one of the best things you can do is allow them to be them and support them, whatever that looks like. And I'm wondering, are you giving yourself enough grace and credit for the gift that you are to them? This makes me tear up. Just listening to the way that you are holding them both figuratively and literally and allowing them the space to grieve and allowing them the space to feel and knowing that it's okay that they miss him and it's okay that they can empathize with another friend. Hey, yeah, I get it that you miss your dad, but damn, yours doesn't come home and mine doesn't. And it's okay to feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope one day, they look back and they are incredible. Danielle, I call them mini Corys. So they truly have learned from the best, but they're also 8 and 12. We have a almost teenage boy. All of that stuff doesn't stop.
No.
And so there's still attitude. And when you add grief on top of being 8 and a 12-year-old boy, you got to let out that anger. And sometimes I'm that punching bag, right? Because they are just so mad. And so sometimes I have to receive that. And then just later on at night, Beckett or Kellen will tell me in bed, he'll apologize, right? And he's like, I'm sorry for, what I said, or I didn't mean that. And I know, honey, that's anger. And so, I have to tell myself there's still 8 and 12-year-old boys.
What are you doing to take care of you or to support you through this season? Because it seems to me that you are spending a lot of time not only taking care of others, but making sure that other people learn the vulnerability and the honesty of grief so that your life is showing up as a lesson for other people, but what are you doing to take care of you through this season?
I'm a work in progress, Danielle.
I was going to say, it's okay. The answer is nothing right now.
Yeah, I try to, I went back to work in April. Okay. Cory passed in January, and I'm very grateful to work for a company that allowed me that. I took time off even before Cory passed. I was his caretaker. So for 6 months, I was his caretaker and took care of him. I would say after going back to work, that has become really hard to figure out what does my time look like. And sometimes I've taken kind of 2 feelings days, I call it, where I need to feel my feelings. If you can't tell already, I'm a feelings person. And so if I don't let out those feelings, that bucket overfills, right? And then it's bad. And so I have to take a feelings day. I have to let it out. But those are, they're not often because life is still continuing. So yeah, work in progress on how I'm caring for myself.
What do you hope people can learn from the example of Grieving Unmasked?
For as hard as it is, it's worth it. It's worth it for yourself. It's worth it for the people around you. And it's worth it for the one that you've lost, right? Being vulnerable, it takes a lot of courage, right? Mm-hmm. Especially as a recovering people pleaser. Right? Like you're wanting to.
I am one as well. So.
Right. Amen, sister. Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to be judged. But at the end of the day, no one is in my shoes. And if they want to judge for how I'm going through this grief, here are my shoes. They are stuck in concrete. Good luck. Things are going to keep moving around us, right? But we are like stuck in concrete. And Kellen actually said, he described it like an lost astronaut out in space. Wow. Yeah, that's that.
Gives me chills because he's not wrong, right? Not wrong. And who can't resonate with that? Who doesn't instantly put themselves there on a rope, tethered and then untethered? Yes.
When everything else keeps moving, right? And so I hope people would learn that it's okay to be unmasked. Like, you can do it. It's going to be beautiful. It has to be beautiful, right? Like, there can't be this much heartache without some sort of beauty. And there will be beauty. I know there will, because there has to be. And so, but if we aren't vulnerable, then someone may not be able to connect with us and feel seen.
That's what I'd like to think. I'd like to think that much with this podcast, much with the conversation we're having right now, that someone is listening and your story is their story and they're hearing it come out of your mouth and it makes them feel less alone. Right. Yeah. I know that struggles that I've had in my life, the times that I have felt most alone, what has eased my soul in some capacity is hearing my story coming out of someone else's mouth and recognizing it's not just me.
Right.
I'm not the only one. Right. And I did a lot of grief therapy after I lost Marty. And one of the things that my grief therapist, who I've actually had on the podcast as well, said to me, she said, Danielle, we grieve in proportion to how we love. And she told me that she likes to think about grief being sort of a rope that ties us to someone, and how large that rope is based on the relationship we have with someone. So if you imagine losing a neighbor, maybe you don't know them very well, and it's a bit of a string that attaches to you. And so you think like, oh, that's terribly sad. How might I support that person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even if it's a family pet, it might be a thick rope. If it's your children, if it's your significant other, if it's a parent, that rope just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's one that could pull you under.
Yes.
Depending on your relationship. And I think the grief you're describing is one that pulls you under and you keep fighting back up.
For sure.
And that it's because that love between you and Cory is so big. It's so big, and it's so beautiful, and it's so alive.
Yes.
And that's one of the lessons that you're showing your kids.
Yeah.
Overall, how are the boys doing, would you say?
Overall, okay. You know, people will say, oh, kids are resilient. Yes, they are resilient, but it doesn't take, yes, exactly, Danielle. It's a yes and. Yes, they are resilient, and they are still experiencing deep grief, and those waves will hit them at the most random times. But we're in the middle of baseball season and Father's Day approaching, right? And so we're already having conversations. We are already figuring out what that looks like. The beginning of baseball season was rough. Dad's not going to be there. All the big thing our littlest one will say is everyone else has their dad and I don't have my dad. And they're going to have their dad for 80 years, right?
Right.
Are they going to have their dad for 80 years? I don't know. But like in his mind, that's all he can think about is that he only had his dad for 8 years. So it comes and goes. The nights as we clean up, that is when it hits them, when they slow down, right? During the day, they're always going, they're always moving, much like their mom. But at night, it's when it's that slap of, oh yeah, dad's not here to tuck us in.
I will share with you that a suggestion that was offered to me about someone who lost someone who was close to them and had a young one, was reaching out to the people you and Cory knew who might have different odd memories, especially since you and Cory knew each other in college, right?
Yeah.
Reaching out to the people you knew and asking them to write down a memory they have of Cory and then putting those together in a book to give to the boys.
I love that idea.
And the reason that's so special is because so many of those memories will be through the kaleidoscope of people that they may or may not know, but it's a view of their dad that they might not have ever seen.
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing that for a friend of mine who lost someone.
Are you really?
Yeah. And I'm hopeful that it will help in their grief journey.
Yeah.
Because I know that is, it's painful, but I think it's especially unique for a child because there are so many layers of the person they've lost.
Yeah.
Who they won't get to know because when we lose as a young person, when we lose an adult in our life, growing up, we don't get to know them as an adult. Right. So they won't, as an adult, get to know Cory as an adult. Yeah. So maybe they can through someone else's eyes.
I love that. I love that idea.
And it might be a sweet gift for Father's Day.
Yes. And we make it very big of talking about daddy all the time, right? Of, okay, that's a little Cory. Or when we're around family and friends, I make it a point that we still share those memories because it's good for all of us. But yeah, to your point, like, especially for the boys, like I want them to hear all of this, even if they hear it 10 times, 100 times, great. Great. Mm-hmm.
You said something in the beginning that you want people to know Cory. And I was talking to a woman at one point, and she said that she heard a quote after her father passed away that someone said to her, you know, you die twice, once when you pass away and once the last time someone says your name.
Yeah.
And this is one of the gifts that you're giving your children, is just, he's around you. He's alive.
Oh,
What
sure.
do you see of Cory in your boys?
So Beckett, our youngest, very quick wit, extremely quick wit, and very much Cory. Like, just something will happen, and Beckett is just like right there. I'm like, oh my gosh, Cory. So very quick wit. Kellen, he's the coach actually now. So he will coach Beckett. And last night they were out front. Kellen was hitting grounders to him with a bat and, you know, giving him some advice and coaching him. And it was well received, right? Sometimes that brotherly relationship goes from good intentions to competition.
Right.
So it was well received last night. But then Kellen, for Mother's Day, Danielle, knocked it out of the park. Just knocked it out of the park. And that was one thing with Cory, ultimate gift giver.
Really?
Gift giving was his love language.
Mine too.
Yeah. And Kellen, he was intentional. He worked with my sister to make sure it was at the house in time. It was so special. And they made supper. Like, he has that tender heart of Cory's, and just he's the protector. Like, he will make sure all the doors are locked at night. He will make sure, right? Like, he's that protector. And I've never told him, you know, you're the man of the house now. That is something he should never have to hear.
Right.
But he has kind of taken upon himself to make sure that that stuff is taken care of, just like Daddy would always do. Mm-hmm.
What do you think was important for Cory to leave them with?
As far as like when it comes to like what do they want? What does he want them to remember, or just like overall life?
Either.
Yeah.
Either
so
both. Like what, because I'm putting myself as best I can in that type of situation. And you had mentioned there were so many things when you lost your mom that you wish that you had asked her or that you had done. And so you and Cory both had the benefit of hindsight, having lost your mom. I imagine that there were some conversations that he wanted to make sure there were conversations he had with the boys, or that there were pieces of wisdom he wanted to impart.
Yeah. That they can do anything that they put their minds to. So we are fortunate to, and that he allowed for it, right? That's the other hard piece, because these are so hard conversations, but we had a lot of these hard conversations. And so we talked about the non-negotiables. So like if something were to happen to him, what's the non-negotiable, and vice versa. And for him, it was education. Like, he wanted to make sure that the boys pursued higher education. They both want to be like Daddy, right? They both want to do nurse anesthesia. And so making sure that that is still the focus, and that they are deeply loved, still loved, right? Like,
that doesn't change.
None of that changes. And so, we did a video. There's a nonprofit here in town called the Amadora Project.
Okay.
And it's a legacy video. And it was one of those really hard things. And Cory did it, and he left messages for the boys and I, each individually. And the boys watched it for the first time about 2 months ago.
Wow.
And for as hard as it was when Cory did it at the time, truly like the greatest gift.
Really?
Because Beckett even said, he's like, well, we have this forever.
Yep.
And I said, yes. I said, you will have this forever. And he's like, so I will be able to listen to this message of what Daddy said to me whenever I want. And I said, yeah, you can listen to it anytime you want. And yeah, it was an extremely hard day when Cory and I did the video, but he emphasized everything that he wanted to make sure that the boys knew. And that was how much they are loved, cared for, and how proud, right? Like how proud we are of them. And that's never going to change.
What a gift Cory is.
Oh my gosh,
on
Danielle,
so many levels. What a gift, Brittany, what a gift you are.
Thank you.
You are not only to your boys, but for your willingness to be this vulnerable and this honest and this open about the gutting nature of this type of loss, but also the depth of love that exists in order for this type of loss to cut this way, right?
Yeah. That's what makes it so hard, right?
Right.
Because
it doesn't hurt this badly if you don't love this deeply. So
there's so many times where I'm like, damn it, Cory. Like I'm just like, why? I need you. I need you.
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh my heart. Will you please tell me about the foundation?
Yes. So we were very blessed with an incredible amount of community love and support during our journey. And I know we're not the only ones going through this. And I remember one morning, Cory was having a very nauseous morning, and we were watching the Today Show. It was actually when Chanel Jones came back. And she was talking about it, and she described it as a beautiful nightmare. And I was like, yes. And here I am sitting next to my husband who's on hospice, rubbing his back because he's having an episode of nausea. And the day before, we had our neighbors do like lumineers throughout the entire neighborhood. And it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I said, yes, this is a beautiful nightmare. Like there's so much beauty around us. But it's a freaking nightmare too. Like I wish we weren't in this. And so I had told Cory, I said, I've always wanted to have a nonprofit. I've always wanted to like run a nonprofit.
I get that.
Like even in college, like that was, I would say like my dream job, right? But I never
on
knew.
My little like bucket list. Yeah. And I've had it there since my 20s.
Yes. And so you talk about the plan. So then I told Cory, I said, someday I am going to create a nonprofit. And he goes, I know you are. You know, he knows me well enough. Right. And I said, I want it to be the Handle Hard Better Foundation. And I want it to help other families that are living this nightmare and allow us to be the beauty to them. And so that's the intention, is this nonprofit is going to help other families that are living this cancer diagnosis when a parent is diagnosed with a cancer and there's children living at home. And we provide a monetary donation for them to choose what to do with it. Because that was one thing I was always hesitant on, was like, you know, if I receive a gift, like I don't want to be judged of like how I use the money.
Right.
Like, I want to do the experiences, right? And so the big thing is with the donation to the family, as long as they are intentional with it, make memories with it, and maybe sometimes that's paying medical bills. Great. Right. Sometimes maybe that's a trip to Chicago for a Cubs game. Amazing.
Right. They're finding the beauty in the nightmare. Like you're giving them the opportunity to create a beautiful moment in some capacity in the nightmare that is this diagnosis and experience. Yeah. Yep. So right now we are focused on, we're going to start in Iowa as our main focus.
but I have big, big dreams, Danielle. Big
Well, I'm
dreams.
here to support you however I can. I love that you're doing this. I love that you are following a long-held heart dream. I love that Cory is walking alongside you in this. How do you define hope, Brittany?
I find hope in that I have to trust in God's plan, to be honest, Danielle. I have to trust that there is a plan for this. And it's going to be beautiful. It is going to be bigger than I could have ever imagined. Because if such a two beautiful souls had to leave us, there will be something so beautiful that they're working on. And so I find hope in the plan, in hope that we'll receive it someday. And sometimes that hope is harder some days too, right? But there has to be beauty. And that is literally what I hold on to.
I believe
It's a really long answer. Sorry.
No, I think that's one of the beautiful things about hope is that it is malleable, right?
Yeah.
It depends on where we are in our world, and it's different things for different people. And again, it
might change, right? Like that definition might change a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, pending the phase of life.
Well, I expect you to come back on here and tell me all about the additional beauty you are creating in other people's difficult experiences as your dream continues to grow.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Because, if we can help one person, right? And that's what you do with each of these episodes is you're just trying to connect with one person, make that person feel seen and heard and be like, yes, like I am not alone. If we can do that, mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Where can people find out about the foundation and where might they connect with you?
Yeah. So again, we're still in the building phase of the actual foundation itself. And so right now it's just following me on Instagram. And then as things continue to build and we get the approvals, right? I was just talking to someone today who's on the board and I was like, I just want to go. I just want to go. And bless his soul, he's like, I know, but we got to do like all the steps to make sure like we're good to go. And so I appreciate that so much. And so when we are officially able to launch it, it will be all over social media and I will let you know too.
Please do. I will update the show notes when you give us the link when you have that official.
Yes.
But in the meantime, people can find you on Instagram and I will put that in the show notes as well. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share?
No, and maybe, and you get this too, but if anyone is watching this and you are a caretaker, if you are a widow, I just hold you tight. I know what those late nights, the caring for your loved one, seeing your children go through it, trying to protect them but be honest with them. And then to have to tell your children the worst news. Just know you are not alone. There are so many of us in this club that are holding you tight.
Brittany, you are such a gift. I cannot tell you what an honor it is to have you here and willing and trusting me to help you share your story.
I'm forever grateful.
And also how my heart breaks for you and Kellen and Beckett. I'm so sorry that you've lost Cory in this capacity, but so grateful you have him here walking with you.
So grateful for you.
Oh, thank you. It is my honor and my pleasure. And friends, I am so grateful to you for spending time with Brittany and I today, for sitting with us and crying with us and taking the time to listen and honor Brittany and Cory and Kellen and Beckett, and to be willing to listen and honor the depth of love and grief that frequently go hand in hand. I am confident you, friends, know someone, whether it's you or someone you know closely, who has experienced this level of love and grief. And I encourage you to share this episode with them if you think that it would make them feel seen and loved, as both Brittany and I hope that it will. Take some time to leave us a note if you think that would be helpful. I'm so grateful that you trust me and that you're willing to spend time with us on this podcast. Until we get to spend time together again, please take very good care of you.